If you are a United States citizen, a green card holder, or someone waiting for approval on your naturalization application, there is a very good chance you have seen some alarming headlines recently. You may have read words like denied, revoked, or new rule, and felt your heart rate go up. You may have wondered if something has changed that affects you personally. You may have even lost sleep over it. And I want you to know, right now, that I understand. That fear is real. That concern is valid. But my goal today is not to scare you. My goal is to sit with you calmly and explain what is actually happening, what these headlines really mean, and most importantly, whether or not this affects you at all. My name is Michael, and I have been covering immigration news and policy updates for years now. I do this because I believe that people deserve the truth, not panic. They deserve clarity, not confusion. So if you can, take a deep breath, maybe get a cup of coffee or tea, and let us go through this together, slowly and carefully, so that by the end of this video, you feel informed, not afraid. Before we begin, I want to make something very clear. I am not an immigration attorney. I am not a government official. I am not here to give you legal advice, and nothing I say in this video should be taken as legal instruction for your specific case. Every person's situation is unique, and if you have serious concerns about your status or your application, please speak with a qualified immigration lawyer. What I am here to do is explain the news in simple, human language. I am here to separate fact from fiction and to help you understand what is actually going on so that you can make calm, informed decisions. That is all. Now let us get into it. So, what is this new rule that everyone is talking about? What is this idea that your citizenship could be denied? Let me explain this clearly. Over the past year or so, there have been increased discussions and policy updates around how the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, known as USCIS, evaluates naturalization applications. Naturalization, as you probably know, is the process by which a lawful permanent resident, a green card holder, becomes a United States citizen. It involves paperwork, an interview, a civics test, an English test, and a review of your background. Now, the reason headlines are appearing with alarming language is because USCIS has reminded the public, and its own officers, that certain requirements for naturalization must be taken very seriously. These include things like continuous residence, physical presence, and something called good moral character. None of these requirements are new. They have existed for decades. But what has changed is the level of attention being given to them during interviews and case reviews. Let me explain what this actually means for you. If you are a green card holder who has applied for citizenship, or if you are planning to apply, the officer reviewing your case will look at several things. They will look at how long you have lived in the United States. They will look at whether you left the country for long periods of time. They will look at your tax history, your criminal record, if any, and whether you have been honest on your application. These are standard checks. They have always been part of the process. What is happening now is that officers are being reminded to look at these things more carefully, especially when it comes to honesty and accuracy. If someone made a mistake on their application, or forgot to include a trip abroad, or listed incorrect dates, that is being looked at more closely than it might have been 5 or 10 years ago. Now, before you panic, I want you to hear this very clearly. A mistake is not the same as fraud. Let me say that again. A mistake is not the same as fraud. If you accidentally forgot to list a 2-week trip to Canada, or if you wrote the wrong date for when you moved to a new address, that is a mistake. It happens. Officers are trained to recognize the difference between an honest error and intentional deception. The rules that are being enforced more strictly are aimed at people who deliberately lie on their applications, who hide criminal activity, who misrepresent their identity, or who have spent so much time outside the country that they no longer meet the residency requirements. These are not casual oversights. These are serious issues, and they apply to a very small number of people. Let me give you some perspective. Every year, hundreds of thousands of people successfully become United States citizens through naturalization. The vast majority of applications are approved. Denials do happen, yes, but they are not random. They are based on specific, documented reasons. And even when an application is denied, the person usually has the opportunity to appeal, to correct errors, or to reapply after addressing the issue. The system is not designed to trap you. It is designed to verify that applicants meet the legal requirements. That is all. Now, let us talk about who this actually applies to, and more importantly, who it does not apply to. If you are already a United States citizen, whether by birth or through naturalization, these new discussions about application scrutiny do not affect your current status. You are a citizen. That is not going to change because of a headline. There is a separate, very rare process called denaturalization, where the government can revoke someone's citizenship, but that applies only in extreme cases involving serious fraud or criminal conduct, and it requires a court process with evidence and legal representation. It is not something that happens quietly or randomly. It is not something that affects everyday people who followed the rules and became citizens honestly. If you are a green card holder who has not yet applied for citizenship, these updates are simply a reminder to be thorough and honest when you do apply. Make sure your application is accurate. Double-check your travel history. Be truthful about your background. If you do that, you have nothing to fear. The process may feel slow. It may feel intimidating. But it is fair when you approach it honestly. If you are currently waiting for your naturalization interview or decision, I know this can be a stressful time, but please understand that a delay is not a denial. Let me repeat that. A delay is not a denial. USCIS has significant backlogs right now. Processing times vary widely depending on your location, the complexity of your case, and the current workload of your local office. Some people wait months. Some wait over a year. This is frustrating, I know, but it does not mean something is wrong with your case. It often just means that the system is slow. There are many myths floating around online, and I want to take a moment to address a few of them. One myth is that dual citizens are being targeted, or that having citizenship in another country puts you at risk. This is not true. The United States allows dual citizenship. Millions of Americans hold citizenship in more than one country. There is no law against it, and there is no new rule that penalizes you for it. Another myth is that if you owe taxes, you will automatically be denied. This is also not accurate. Tax issues can be a factor in evaluating good moral character, especially if there is evidence of deliberate tax evasion. But simply owing money or having a payment plan does not disqualify you. Officers look at the full picture, not just one detail. Another myth I hear often is that if you have ever been arrested, you cannot become a citizen. Again, this is not automatically true. Many people who have had minor legal issues in the past, such as traffic violations or minor misdemeanors, have successfully naturalized. What matters is the nature of the offense, how long ago it happened, and whether it reflects on your current moral character. Serious crimes are a different matter, of course, and if you have concerns about your specific history, that is a good reason to speak with an attorney before applying. Let me take a moment now to talk about something very important, and that is the emotional side of all this. I know that for many of you watching, immigration is not just a policy topic. It is your life, it is your family, it is your sense of security and belonging. When you see a scary headline, it does not feel like news. It feels personal. It feels like a threat. And I want you to know that I see that. I understand that. You are not being dramatic. You are not overreacting. You are simply human, and you care about your future. But I also want to remind you of something. The immigration system in the United States, for all its flaws, is a system of laws and processes. It is not random. It is not chaotic. Decisions are made based on evidence and documentation, not on headlines or fear. Yes, policies can change. Yes, enforcement can shift. But the core protections and procedures remain in place. Courts exist. Appeals exist. Legal representation exists. You are not powerless. You are part of a system that has structure, even when it feels overwhelming. If you are feeling anxious right now, I want you to do something small but meaningful. Take a breath. Remind yourself that you are here, watching this video, trying to understand. That is already a sign of strength. You are not ignoring the issue. You are not pretending it does not exist. You are facing it calmly, with information, and that is exactly what you should be doing. Now, let us talk about what you can actually do moving forward. If you are in the process of applying for citizenship, make sure your application is complete and accurate. Review your travel history carefully. Gather any documents that support your case, such as tax returns, employment records, and proof of residence. If you are unsure about anything, consider consulting with an immigration attorney or an accredited representative. This is not because something is wrong. It is simply because having professional guidance can give you peace of mind and help you avoid unnecessary delays. If you have already submitted your application and are waiting, the best thing you can do is stay patient. Check your case status online if you like, but try not to obsess over it. Delays are normal, especially in the current environment. If USCIS needs something from you, they will send you a notice. If you receive a request for evidence, respond promptly and thoroughly. If you are scheduled for an interview, prepare calmly by reviewing the civics questions and practicing your English if needed. There are many free resources available to help you study. If you are a green card holder who is not yet ready to apply for citizenship, there is no need to rush. Make sure you are meeting the residency and physical presence requirements over time. Keep records of your travel. File your taxes. Maintain a clean legal record. When the time comes, you will be in a strong position to apply. If you are already a citizen, naturalized or by birth, and you are watching this video out of concern for a loved one, I encourage you to share this information with them. Sometimes, the greatest gift we can give is calm, clear explanation. Help them understand that the system, while imperfect, is not designed to take away what they have earned. Help them see that preparation and honesty are the best tools they have. Let me also take a moment to talk about the broader context of immigration right now. I know that many of you are concerned not just about citizenship, but about green card renewals, visa backlogs, travel issues, and more. I want to acknowledge that these are real challenges. Processing times for many applications are longer than they used to be. Interviews are sometimes delayed. Travel can feel uncertain. This is the reality of the system right now, and it is frustrating for everyone involved. But I also want to offer some reassurance. The system is still functioning. Applications are still being processed. Approvals are still happening every single day. If you are waiting, you are not forgotten. Your case is in the queue, and it will be reviewed. I know that waiting is hard. I know that silence from USCIS can feel frightening. But silence is not rejection. It is simply the slow movement of a large bureaucracy. It is not personal. It is not a sign of trouble. It is just the nature of the process. As we come to the end of this video, I want to leave you with a few final thoughts. First, remember that headlines are designed to get attention. They are not always designed to inform. When you see a scary title, take a moment to look deeper. Ask yourself what the actual policy is, who it applies to, and whether it truly affects your situation. More often than not, you will find that the reality is much less frightening than the headline suggests. Second, remember that you are not alone. Millions of people have gone through the immigration and naturalization process before you. Millions more will go through it after you. There is a community of people who understand what you are experiencing, and there are professionals who can help if you need guidance. Third, remember that knowledge is your greatest tool. The more you understand about how the system works, the less power fear has over you. That is why I make these videos. That is why I take the time to explain things slowly and carefully, because I believe that when people are informed, they feel stronger. They make better decisions. They sleep a little easier at night. So, to summarize what we have talked about today, the rules for naturalization are being enforced more carefully in some areas, but they are not new rules. They are the same requirements that have existed for years. The focus is on honesty, continuous residence, physical presence, and good moral character. For the vast majority of applicants, this changes nothing. If you are honest and thorough, you will be fine. Denials are based on specific reasons, not random decisions. Delays are not denials. And if you are already a citizen, your status is secure unless you committed serious fraud, which is extremely rare and involves a court process. Before I go, I want to thank you sincerely for spending this time with me. I know your time is valuable, and I do not take it for granted. If this video helped you feel a little calmer, a little more informed, or a little more confident about your future, then it was worth making. If you have questions, you are welcome to leave them in the comments below. I read as many as I can, and I often use your questions to guide future videos. If you found this helpful, consider sharing it with someone who might be feeling the same fears you were when you clicked on this video. Sometimes, the best thing we can do is help each other understand. Thank you again for being here. Take care of yourself. Stay informed, not afraid. And I will see you in the next one.